Hello, welcome to Retro Cheese Review, where I usually force my friends and loved ones to watch cheesy movies from my childhood. I wouldn't necessarily call this well, I guess cheesy, but anyone who thinks this movie is bad is an idiot. Today we'll be reviewing in honor of Carl Weathers, our favorite Carl Weathers movie. With me is Felicia. Felicia, say
Hello,
hi.
everyone.
So Carl Weathers just passed away, and my wife and I were discussing, we should do a Carl Weathers movie, and we were going through, and it's probably not what you think. Well, you're gonna know because obviously the title of the YouTube video kind of giving this away. We kind of bounced around with, there's Predator and there's Rocky, and I'm like, you know what? Carl Weathers' comedic genius was not present in those movies. And Rocky, they're just like, oh, he's a big muscular football player. Let's just make him a big muscular boxer. And kind of the same thing. In Predator, he had to act against the wall, which is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Let's be honest, Arnold Schwarzenegger can't act worth a shit. Um, and here you got to see his comedic genius. So I haven't even mentioned we are reviewing Happy Gilmore, Adam Sandler's second post SNL movie, not his second movie, but his second post SNL movie, the follow up from Billy Madison. Diving in this 1996 comedy classic, we got the lead character is obviously Adam Sandler, but we've got the great Carl Weathers as Chubbs, the golf instructor. 1996, as I mentioned, classic 96 comedy where it was a only hour and 30 minutes. Back in my day, we had our movies in 90 minutes or less. Now we'll dive into the tomato meter.
I almost feel like it was too short.
That was 90s comedies. I mean, it's still an
I
hour and
guess
a half.
so.
Most of them back then were like an hour 20. They
Hmm.
got to the point. We had short attention spans. Um, Getting into Rotten Tomatoes, 62% critic score. So that's from the critics, and that's what I'm gonna say is to those 40 something. Well, that would be 38% math that hated it. Boo! There we go. Yeah,
Boo!
some more booze. Yeah. But
Boo!
the audience score was 85%, as opposed to oddly enough, Billy Madison had lower his first post SNL movie, not his first movie. There was obviously Airheads, I think even before he was on SNL or during I think. Billy Madison got lower ratings. Billy Madison was 40% critic and 79% audience score, which it's
What's
weird
weird because
because
I actually like Billy Madison more. I
they
mean,
feel
not
like the same damn movie in a lot of ways. I mean, they're
yeah, but
not.
there's just like certain points where I like one better than the other. So
Yeah, kind of surprising. So this one did get better reviews. It's kind of the opposite of what Farley did right after SNL because everyone ranks, his first one, which I think was Black Sheep, way higher than Tommy Boy, which it's kind of the same thing where I'm like, they're the same goddamn movie. Um,
kinda, yeah.
so again, this is one of my favorite Adam Sandler movies. Huge Adam Sandler fan. I fell out around the time he started doing serious shit, and then fell back in with him later. I don't like the things that he does with Kevin James because he's just a cheap replacement for Chris Farley. Um, but I love most of Sandler's movies, and this is one of this is peak Sandler right here.
Hmm.
It's also favorite Carl Weathers movie, and my second favorite golf movie. Guess the favorite in the comments. Um, so diving in, nostalgia review would have been 1996. I was a teenager. I literally had VHS copies of all of Adam Sandler's movies back then, starting with Airheads. Um, Loved his movies, loved his stupid bullshit. I would have given this as a teenager a 5 out of 5, like no contest. So, Felicia, what's your nostalgia review of this movie?
Um, it's weird. I feel like I enjoyed it more this time around than I even did back then. I think I would have given it like a 3.5 out of 5, and I know that we're going to be um
How did we get married? If
what?
that's your opinion of a Sandler movie,
No,
damn it.
I'm not saying. I'm saying that was back in the day when the
Okay.
movie came out. I happen to like Billy Madison more,
Mhm.
but like
Which
I
is
know that
fair.
we give a present day review later on, but I'll just go ahead and give it now. I mean, I would give it like a 4.5 or 5 out of 5. I love the movie. I thought it was
You're,
awesome.
you're
I thought
supposed
it
to
was.
wait until the end to give it your current review.
I know,
Felicia
but
in here running the format. You're the one that edits all the videos.
well, whatever. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I would say, like, I actually did like Billy Madison more for something. I think Sandler kind of felt it out and got more into his own. Billy Madison had the advantage of the female lead was better. I'll bluntly say that. For those Julie Bowen fans, the one in Billy Madison, I never remember her name. I'll just say Sonia Blade is a better actress. She's got better comedic timing. Julie Bowen in this hadn't quite figured out her comedic timing yet. She's way better on Modern Family. I feel like she was kind of the only one in there that wasn't super funny. She was just kind of there. But there's reasons why this movie, has some things that are better. Like there's some things better about this one. Sandler's more aggressive in this one, which is funny. He's much more
Absolutely.
violent. Um,
I think that's what
and
I liked about it, rewatching it, because it's like, wow, this fucker is really unhinged.
the bad guy's better too. The guy playing Shooter McGavin, I like better than the
Yeah.
guy for Christopher McDonald. And his grandma in it, and oddly, Carl Weathers. Carl Weathers also helped make this movie. Him and Adam Sandler play really well off of each other.
Hmm.
Honestly, they're hilarious together. I just
Hmm.
didn't get the chemistry in this movie between Julie Bowen and Adam Sandler versus. Yeah, I keep forgetting her name, but the one in Billy Madison.
I will say one thing. I feel like the romance in Happy Gilmore maybe was a little forced.
It was
I
very forced.
she really well, actually, yeah, it was very forced. She really didn't need to be in there at all.
Yeah, versus Bridget Wilson. That's the one from like she was. It made more sense in Billy Madison. This one felt forced. Like
Billy
Billy
Madison, yeah,
Madison, he
because
had
it's
to
like
kind
she
of
ends up
work
hating
at
him
it.
at
Yeah,
first. Yeah.
yeah. So the romance thing, and he try. I think that if you get rid of the romance side, where Billy Madison in some ways feels like a romantic comedy, a lot of Sandler's movies were made for people who don't like romantic comedies, but they were. This one,
I
if you
wouldn't call it
he
a romantic comedy. I
but
mean,
I'm saying he
I would just
always
call it.
tries to put in he always has that romantic aspect in all of his movies. People don't pick that up. Like every one of his movies always has the romantic aspect of it. They all do. But this one, it's if you get rid of that, it's a better movie.
Dumbass.
If you take that part out. I mean, especially if you like golf or golf movies, it's kind of can be a tribute to Caddyshack. I really think that his character is a tribute to what's the golfer's name? John Daly,
Yeah,
who is just
absolutely.
a fat asshole of a golfer. I actually wore my golf wear today. When I golf, I'm also the fat asshole that just wears the stupidest shit that I can get away with.
Do you
Um,
think that Royal and Awesome will sponsor your channel
oh God, I
or
would love if they
sponsor
did.
this episode?
It's what I'm currently wearing. I purposely wore my Royal and Awesome shit, which is literally just a line of golf wear to fit into the the golf dress codes that just makes you look like an asshole but fit into the dress code. I didn't golf as a kid, so as golfed as an adult, and I'm a sweatpants and t-shirt guy, like screen print t-shirt guy. So I'm like, I'm gonna get the stupidest shit possible, like this hat. I got matching shorts. But yeah, like kind of let's dive in to the plot of Happy Gilmore. And there is a plot. Early Sandler, he was always good at like it wasn't just him being stupid, he was good about putting a structured plot together.
It's a very
Um
simple plot, but it was really good, and I think that's why on the rewatch I'm like, this is a really like it has a solid beginning, middle, and end. Like there's really nothing inherently wrong structure story wise with this movie.
yeah. And Sandler's movies, all of his early ones, always had the same kind of thing where he always, you even were mentioning, he always has an older woman that he loves, like a grandma or something, and he always
Yeah.
has an attractive blonde that's his love interest. That's kind of his go to, and he's always a violent idiot. in all of his early
He really
movies.
puts himself down. He's the goober, and it's like, oh, what am I
He
seeing
doesn't. He
this bitch
even
for?
with as big of a star as he is, he doesn't have a lot of self confidence. I've seen interviews where he mentions like his drama teacher in high school said he would never amount to anything. He started more as a writer, and Chris Farley's the one that got him hired as a comedian on SNL because he was like his favorite writer, him and David Spade. He doesn't have a good self confidence. He's gotten better as he's gotten older, though, I feel like. It's
Hmm.
funny, I saw an interview back when he was kind of in a slump and I thought his movies weren't as good, where he's like, yeah, I'm not as funny as I used to be. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of true.
Oh,
He's not. Um, but no, these movies were, I mean, it's not even where he peaked. These were like the two classics, but I honestly think he peaked at Big Daddy. That's my opinion.
Big Daddy was an awesome movie. I
I think
love
he
that
peaked
movie.
either there or 50 First Dates.
Oh my god, we should have a video about that one. That movie always makes me cry. It's so
Whereas,
sweet.
yeah, I do think Carl Weathers peaked here, other than maybe Arrested Development, which he was hilarious in. And I mean, he was in The Mandalorian, but like,
He
again,
was great there.
as much as I love Rocky, I always thought he was way better as a comedian. He was way better doing comedy because he's a funny guy.
He really
So
was.
started as a football player and then went into acting. And somehow, his first two big movies, he had acting partner of Arnold Schwarzenegger and then an acting partner of Sylvester Stallone. So he had, a guy who had an excuse why he couldn't speak very good English, and then a guy who, I don't know, Sylvester Stallone. You were born in like Philly. Why can't you speak a goddamn word? Like,
Actually, I think
I
doesn't he have like actually a medical issue or?
don't know. Now I feel like an asshole. Um,
Sylvester Stallone. He's got like a shitload of money, and
yeah, no, and I've heard he's a nice guy. I just can't
I
act
my
worth
point
it.
is your words are
He
not
got
going
a
to
he can write a damn good script, and he can like I think you were said that like Carl Weathers, like it was a rumor that he got cast because he said that while doing the audition that Sylvester Stallone couldn't act worth a shit, and Sylvester Stallone respected his opinion and cast him.
it it was a Wikipedia entry,
That
keep in mind.
sounds right though.
So I don't know if that's
No.
actually verified. They
Everything that
have
is on the
they have
internet is
sources,
right.
but I didn't check that source.
Everything on the internet is true. Remember that, kids. If you heard it on the internet, it's true. Birds aren't real and the earth is
Facts.
flat.
Absolutely. And we're all gonna die in 4 years.
Yes, no, that's what I've been putting on the internet. Um, so yeah, diving into the plot of this movie, Sandler loved his sports movies. This one's, he's a failed hockey player that's very violent that can't skate worth a shit. But he's got a hell of a shot. He loves his grandma. His girlfriend broke up with him, which he starts making. He sleeps with the elderly Asian woman that's at his front door because that's who answers when he tries to get his girlfriend back. And he loves his grandma because he was raised by his grandma. I think his parents were supposed to have died.
Well, no,
Um,
his dad died, and it was he got hit with a hockey puck, wasn't
that's
it?
what it was. His dad died
Yep.
getting hit with a hockey puck, and he was sent to live with his grandma, who's amazing. Greets him with a Gene Simmons mask. Um,
He's awesome.
yeah, she's like the Aunt May of this universe, I guess, of his story. But then she's getting her house repossessed, and on top of that, while he's getting his she's getting her house repossessed for back taxes. Will Sasso and some no-name guy, like Will Sasso's in this movie, even though it was before he was known. They're repoing shit, and they find they stop and they're playing with his grandpa's old golf clubs, and Adam Sandler's like, "Oh, you guys suck," and he's like, "Oh, you try hitting it. It's not that easy." And it turns out he can hit like a 500-yard shot, like an insane, again, John Daly. So he starts making money just shooting, shots at a driving range and betting people. And then Chubbs, played by Carl Weathers, is this old retired golfer that teaches people, takes a shine to him and tells him that he should enter into this tournament. And he's like, "Well, if you're so good, why'd you retire?" And he's got a wooden hand. It's the stupidest thing ever, right, Felicia? Like it's clearly he's holding a wooden hand. Um, he got it bit off by a damn alligator, snatched it while he was golfing because it tried to get it when he tried to get his ball back. And there's just a running gag of them repeatedly breaking his hand. Like Sandler accidentally grabs it too hard and breaks it. At some point, he knocks it off and it gets hit by a car. Just repeated hilarity of just doing the same joke over and over again, which works if you know the number, like rule of three. Oh,
My
and the
cat's a
cats,
moron.
yeah, the cats are idiots. So yeah, he takes a shine to him, tells him to enter this tournament. He enters the tournament, and when he finds out that he can't putt worth a shit, he's like, "Oh, you probably should take a year off," because he does good enough to win the tournament, and even though he can't putt worth a shit because it's amateurs, and he gets into the pro, but he's like, "You should take a year off and learn how to actually putt so you're good," and he's like, "Nah, I need the money." So that gets into the whole, montage of him going and he's getting a better golfer and he's flirting with this, reporter played by Julie Bowen from Modern Family. Um, yeah, and Chubbs is still, there in the background, but he's kind of an asshole and because he's like beats people up and he's crazy and he's got a homeless guy that's his caddy who's like eating the little crackers that they're using to store to mark the golf balls and taking the change.
And he's in every one of like Adam Sandler's movies. It's
Yeah, it's
awesome.
literally
Like,
just
you know,
one of his
still
friends. I
acting.
think his name's Alan Covert. I think that's who it was.
I don't know,
I think he's literally just one of Adam Sandler's, friends. So
which is still awesome.
yeah, Sandler uses this as an excuse to bring in a bunch of actual golfers. From what I heard, Lee Trevino did not know how vulgar the movie was, and they purposely shot his scenes separately, and he was pissed about it, of him like being in disapproval. That could just be a joke. I don't know. Robert Smigel, we found out, was in it. He's the IRS agent.
Yeah, he's the auditor or IRS guy. That was funny. I
Yeah.
didn't really know what he looked like.
But yeah, the main bad guy in this movie ends up being Christopher McDonald, who's Shooter McGavin. Shooter McGavin is a tremendous douchebag. He's golf is this, and he's supposed to be the one that wins, and he doesn't like all the attention Happy Gilmore's getting. The movie goes on for a while of a bunch of funny shits happening. Sandler's getting close to being able to win his grandma's house back, and then Shooter McGavin's doing shit like hiring a guy to like harass him to get him kicked off the tournament, doing everything he can to get him kicked out of the tournament and make him lose, and then this kind of ends with him beating the shit out of Bob Barker and getting kicked out of getting temporarily suspended. They would kick him out completely, but the ratings are like way up. Or he actually gets his ass kicked by Bob Barker also.
Now you're gonna get it, Bobby!
The price is wrong, bitch.
I think you've had enough. No? Now you've had enough. Bitch.
It's like the celebrity
Bob
pro
Barker
am
is the
tournament.
best. I
Yeah,
love
it's
him.
it's hilarious that it is Bob Barker who literally
He's-
says, yeah, the best line in the entire movie, the price is wrong, or the price, I think he says the price is wrong, bitch, when he's beating him up, and then and then Bob Barker beats his ass and is like, I think you've had enough, and then he runs over and kicks him in the ribs. He's like, no, now you've had enough. It's hilarious.
And he died like only last year, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
be honest, I thought he was already dead.
Yeah.
That seems to happen a lot. I'm
Rest
like,
in peace, Bob Barker. Also, his funniest performance. Sandler brought out the best in Carl Weathers and Bob Barker. He loved older guys, I guess. Their performances. Also, it's funny. He got a ton of actual pro golfers in the movie to play themselves, and then he randomly got Kevin Nealon to play a golfer, and like the calmest golfer ever. That's just super encouraging. And Kevin Nealon's just an amazing.
Even though he's competing against him, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's giving him advice the entire time, and he's like, he's like, be calm, Zen, just send the ball to your home. And yeah, and then that
That's the
leads to him
best.
screaming at the ball to go to his home.
Time to go home there, Ball.
Son of a bitch, Ball. Why didn't you just go home? That's your home. Are you too good for your home? Answer me! Suck my white ass, Ball!
Just I've done that before on the golf course. I think we all have now. I have borrowed all of my golfing technique from this movie and the other movie that I said is the best golfing movie that you're supposed to guess in the comments. All of my golfing technique is from those two movies. You've also got Richard Keel, big guy who's, big, tall, Frankenstein monster looking of a man who's playing Happy's former boss, who Happy who Happy got, the crap kicked out of him and got fired for getting him with a nail gun in the head, but now he suddenly likes Happy Gilmore now that he's a golfer, hates Shooter McGavin, so it leads to this all hilarity of him threatening Shooter all the time. But yeah, this ends up ending with he gets suspended for a little bit from the tour, but he get the reporter who he started dating, Julie Bowen. I think her name's Virginia in it, which is such a weird, it's such an old lady name. I'm sorry for anyone named Virginia.
I guess.
But it is. It really is. But she gets an idea that he can get a sponsorship with Subway, because his character loves Subway in the movie. This gets enough money to buy back the house, but it turns out instead of the $250,000 I think she owed in back taxes, it's an auction. Someone outbids for it, and it's Shooter McGavin because he found out about it. He's such a piece of shit.
Dick.
It's 80s villain level shit. But then he's like, oh, I'll give you the house if you just leave the tournament, because he just hates him because he's getting more attention than him. And at this point, Happy's a decent pro golfer, but he's not getting even close. Shooter McGavin's still dominant. He's the Tiger Woods
Still
of this
way
tournament.
ahead.
And Happy's been getting each game, he's up to where he was last place. Now he's getting 18th or 19th place. And he's like, I'll give you the house if you leave the tournament. And he's like, you know what? How about this? If you, beat the final thing, the thing that Shooter McGavin cares about to win the gold jacket, if you win this tournament, I will give you, I will let you keep the house and I'll quit. But if I win, I get the house, and I don't have to quit. He's like, it's on. And then he goes, and there's a whole montage of him learning how to putt from Chubbs. Going to his happy place, learning at a putt-putt golf course, which is legit. I can't putt worth a shit, and putt-putt is a good way to learn. Still can't putt worth a shit, but eventually maybe I'll be able to. Yeah, he learns how to putt. They get into at the end, they're trading gifts because it's, been this montage, and it's like, Happy, I'm so proud of you. Carl Weathers gives him a putter that looks like a hockey stick.
You kind of forgot the whole thing that kind of that basically leads to a big event in that one scene that you're talking about.
Well, no, I've mentioned that Carl Weathers mentions that he's got his hand bit off by the. No.
I know.
Oh yeah. That when he's golfing earlier, yeah, Happy hits a golf ball into a pond, and when he goes in to fish it out, an alligator jumps out and almost bites his hand off. And instead of he sees that he's only got one eye. Carl Weathers has mentioned that, the one that bit his hand off. He's like, well, I got his eye. And he's like, you're the one who bit Chubb's head off. And he jumps in and just beats the shit out of the alligator.
And he gets his ball back, though.
Yeah, and he gets his ball back. But, Chubbs is, gifting him a putter that's designed like a hockey stick. I would love that fucking putter. That, they need to sell. Listen, TaylorMade, make a replica of that shit. Or even, I don't know, because I like TaylorMade, but they're expensive. But
what's the other brand?
I could see Bomb Tech doing that. They're a cheaper brand, and they're more funny with shit. There's
also Titleist, right?
Titleist. I could see Bomb Tech being the ones to make it. They're a cheaper brand, but they're actually good clubs. They're the ones that made my 72-degree wedge that's hilarious because it shoots almost straight up.
But anyway, gift giving.
Yes, gift giving. So Happy, like in the scene, there's a very giant open window that Carl Weathers is standing in front of. Felicia, you referred
Chekhov's
to it,
window.
Chekhov's window. Yes, for those of you who are not cultured theater majors like myself, Anton Chekhov always had this thing of if there's a prop setting out, use it. And it's the thing of Chekhov's gun. If you see like a gun on stage, someone's gonna end up using it. I think it was Three Sisters or Uncle Vanya. If my old theater professors see this, they're gonna be pissed. I don't remember. Hey, I haven't been in college in 2 decades almost now.
Yeah.
That there's a gun on stage like the entire like first act or something, and then the second act the guy blows his head off stage. So it's Chekhov's open window. Happy gives him a gift also, and it's the alligator's head. And he freaks out when he sees it and falls out the window and dies.
Oh, man.
Remember the gator that got your hand? I got his head.
So rest in peace, Carl
Not
Weathers.
a very far distance. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, you can die, but I feel like for the most part, I think he would have survived in normal circumstances. He'd be badly
should
hurt.
have. But it's funnier this way. It's more a special for the audience. It's the
I like the
it's
way
the
that he fell
Obi-Wan
out.
dying against Darth Vader moment, you know.
The way that he died out the window was pretty hilarious, though.
It's
'cause it's
funny.
Just so
It's
over
good
the
comic
top.
timing too, because Carl Weathers, he's like hilarious with the screaming and everything. It's so over the top. And he died so he couldn't be in any other movies, and then he had to, go on. He had to like go into Arrested Development and ask, people to keep the bones from the pot roast for soup, because it's a good stew bone. It's hilarious in Arrested Development with that. So he dies. Happy's all depressed, but continues to do the tournament. He's beating Shooter McGavin the entire tournament because he's learned how to putt, so he's kicking ass. And then Shooter McGavin hires the same douchebag that got him to beat up Bob Barker to essentially run him over with a car. And yeah, and all it does is make his shoulder hurt enough that he no longer has the long drive, so he's a normal golfer now. He has to rely entirely on skill. This keeps going on, ends in a final thing where they're pretty well close to being tied. Happy's all pissed off. He starts going to his dark place, but then his grandma just is there and says, "I just want you to be happy." I skipped a whole thing of like his grandma this entire time has been in a nursing home, and Ben Stiller is the orderly that's pretty well abusing the shit out of all of them.
Yeah, that's the other thing is like Adam Sandler also has that drive because not only does he want to get his house back just because he loves his grandma, but he wants to get her out of that retirement
Well, he
home.
gets her out of the retirement home, and I think she's living in his apartment because he finds out what Ben Stiller's doing and just beats the shit out of him.
Yeah, but that's you get
An air conditioner falls on him. I think that's the old lady. The air conditioner
it falls
on
that one lady.
Help me, Mister.
That's the thing is that like that's one of those things where if an air conditioner falls on you, you're fucked. Like
and they just ignore her. It's the same lady that they run over. It's the same lady he runs over while visiting his grandma.
Yeah, that's the ironic part is an air conditioner falling, I would think would be far more deadly than just falling out like a 2-story building. It would suck. You could die, but the likelihood of dying
is lower.
Probably.
And she's not dead, but either way, so he's all worried, and he's going, instead of going to his happy place that Carl Weathers told him to mentally to get his golf game better, he's going to a dark place where Shooter McGavin's making out with his girlfriend, and then, the Shooter McGavin's going over and making out with his grandma who's got the kiss mask on, the Gene Simmons mask, and he's like sucking on the Gene Simmons plastic tongue. And finally, when his grandma says, "I don't care if you get my house back or when, I just want you to be happy," he goes to his happy place again, and Carl Weathers is playing a piano there, and he has both of his hands. Yeah. Which is funny because later in Little Nicky, it shows in heaven with Reese Witherspoon, who's his mom in Little Nicky. He's teaching them golf and also plays the piano up in heaven.
Which is adorable.
It's adorable because he's he makes an appearance, the same character. But either way, it ends and there's like a tower that the car ran into like falls, and Shooter McGavin's like, no, he still has to play with it there, and it's literally just a flashback to a scene from the training montage that in the putt place there was a similar like you had to putt that way, and he one putts with like the tower in the way. It's a whole Rube Goldberg machine thing where it felt like Pee-wee, Pee-wee's big adventure, that whole thing.
My question is, why didn't they remove the fucking car? Like, that car crashed, like, how long ago?
It's a 90s movie.
I know, but
don't
logically,
worry
it's like,
about
hey,
it. Because then they
why
wouldn't have been
not?
able to set that up of the tower falling.
I guess.
Yeah. But either way, I even made the joke when it was going through rewatching that I was like, at the end, it just shoots him. And it's like, it just shoots you. It doesn't make breakfast. Because of the Family Guy clip.
Ow! Ow! What was the point of all that? Ow! All it does is shoot you! It doesn't make breakfast at all! Ah!
You should splice that one in.
You know I am.
Yeah. But he makes it. He wins.
If I
It's all
haven't
gonna be
already done
happy.
so.
Yeah. And Shooter McGavin tries to steal the gold jacket and run with it, and you just see the his old boss that's built like literally the guy looks like Frankenstein's monster. He chases him and is supposed to beat the crap out of him. They cuts off screen and you just hear him screaming. And then it ends with them going to their house. Grandma, the homeless caddy, his girlfriend, the reporter, and Happy. They're pulling up in his, even though he's a pro golfer that's made a lot of money, he's in his rickety old car still and pulls up to Grandma's house, and he sees up in the sky, kind of like old Simba style, when only it's the ghost of Chubbs, and he's happy, but he's there
with his alligator.
He's there with the alligator. They're friends now in heaven. He's just like a guy standing like a human in an alligator suit. And Abraham Lincoln. They're randomly all three hanging out. And they're like, what are you waving at?
I don't know why Abraham Lincoln is there, but fuck it.
And they're playing, I don't even remember what song they're playing, old classic, rock. A good song. Either way, and that's the end of the movie. A wholesome fucking movie. And
if not a very unhinged movie.
Rest in peace, Carl Weathers. That you were a great Chubbs.
Seriously, he was just a great actor, and I think the saddest
nice guy. Like, he got a lot of work because he was a nice guy. Failed football player, let's be honest.
I was going to say the saddest part is the fact that it's like, people can say, oh yeah, he lived like a long life, and he lived till like what, 76.
He lived a full life too. The guy, like,
but he was
a
acting,
football player. He was a football player. He was in Rocky. He was one of the main characters in the Rocky series. He was one of the main characters in the first Predator. He was in comedies. He was in The Mandalorian. The dude had a full, rich life.
No, I know that, but that's the thing, is like when somebody is just not ready to go, that's what makes it sad. It's like,
it's gonna be weird in the new seasons of The Mandalorian.
What's up?
It'll be weird in the new seasons of The Mandalorian.
I mean, unless they've like
and I'm wondering because
they
filmed a Mandalorian movie, so I'm wondering if he was in it.
I don't know, but
yeah.
Either way, rest in peace, Carl Weathers. You were the shit.
F in the comments. Yeah. F for Carl, and that was probably disrespectful. I did the Roblox death sound. Yeah,
it's okay.
I'm sad to hear him. Yeah, sad to see him go. Felicia, I've been talking for 20-something minutes. What is your take on the movie?
I think it's just a good, fun 90s comedy. I don't really know what I mean. The thing is that, like, I wanted to say that there's nothing special about it, but there really is, and I think it kind of like led the way for a lot of other insane. What?
It's got a lot of heart, despite being insane.
I think it led the way for a lot of other 90s comedies that I feel like didn't do as well as this one did. It was just completely unhinged, but it was It didn't last very long. It was short, sweet, to the point. They introduced the character. They pretty much they started off like whatever the conflict was right away. They didn't they didn't belabor it. It didn't take a long time to get to whatever the plot was. And I felt myself entertained. Like I wasn't looking at the clock saying, okay, when is this movie
Yeah.
over? It was a good, solid movie.
Sandler doesn't take any time to get into it. He dives right in.
No.
And you know what I gotta say, and a lot of people will disagree with me because I love Jim Carrey, I absolutely do, but they're both Sandler and Jim Carrey in the '90s were both the unhinged, crazy, movie actors. Different than like Farley, who was more different style more slapstick. He was old school, almost Three Stooges. But we're talking about like Sandler's writing because Farley wasn't a writer. He had Spade and Sandler write almost all of his stuff. Sandler, I've got to say, like he wasn't as good of a serious actor as Jim Carrey when Jim Carrey broke out, and he wasn't as good at what Jim Carrey and him both did, which is the crazy, just unhinged. But one thing that he had better than Jim Carrey, and part of it's that he did his own writing and he was good at it, is all of his comedy movies, as unhinged as they were, they all had heart. They all had a good message. They all had a lot of heart. You loved his characters. They weren't just idiots. Like if you're looking at like Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, around the same time, is Ace Ventura really a likable character, or is he just funny? Is he just
He's just kind of funny.
He's a complete parody. Like his character is just the. Whereas Sandler, all of his characters are likable people. They're all you always root for his characters. In his early
he's got
movies,
somebody that he
lost
loves
that a little
deeply.
bit. He always has that. Even if it's not his love interest, he always has someone, a reason. He always
Like
gives
a mom
his character
or a grandmother or
he writes. You can tell he writes backwards. He always gives a motivation to his character. So it's a funny slapstick movie, but if you remove the comedy, it's still a movie on its own. Like there's still a motivation for this character.
That's true. It's very true. I don't know if I could speak for some of his newer movies, but for certainly everything up in the 90s up to
I need to watch
2000.
some of his newer because I heard he went in a slump, but I heard he got good again.
I heard that there's that one movie on Netflix. Was it called like Leo or something? And supposedly that's really good. It's like
He's
a
got
Adam
one with like
Sandler
his
movie. It's
daughter.
animated.
I know he's got one with his daughter in it like recently, and I heard unlike Kevin Smith's daughter, sorry, Kevin Smith, your daughter seems like a nice person. Unlike Kevin Smith's daughter, the talent actually transferred from what I heard, and
I have no idea, but I kind of want to check
heard
out
she's funny.
the animated. I want to check out the animated movie that that Sandler did because it seemed, according to what people have said, it was good, like good.
I wasn't crazy about like Jack and Jill or Punch Drunk Love. Those
Punch
are the
Drunk
two
Love
that he
was just a bunch of bullshit.
I wasn't even that crazy about Spanglish, to be honest, or Click.
I don't think anybody.
That was around that time that I wasn't like Click was just okay. That was around the time his movies just kind of went eh, and then I think like around the time of like Blended, he started getting it back. Like Blended wasn't as good because it was another Drew Barrymore romantic comedy with him.
Actually, was that Drew Barrymore or was that
Blended was
Jennifer?
Drew Barrymore.
Yeah,
Blended,
that's right.
Jennifer
Just go
Aniston
with
came
it.
later.
Was Jennifer? Yeah.
I think he got his groove back with that movie. It wasn't at the same level as Wedding Singer or 50 First Dates, but it was good, and I think it got him his confidence back to start doing those types of movies again.
Right.
That's at least my opinion. I
would agree with you.
All right. Well, getting to the rewatch review, I'm going to, I said a 5. I'm going to say rewatch a 4.9, only because I don't want to give it a perfect score because I think that Happy Gilmore isn't quite at the same perfect score level of Billy Madison and Big Daddy, which I think are his two perfect movies. Those two, and it's not going to have the perfect 5 of the other perfect golf movie, the actual perfect one. That being said, Felicia, what did you say that you would rate it on the rewatch again?
You know what? Now that you mention it, I think I completely agree with you. I think like a 4.9 is about as close to perfect as you're going to get for this movie because I love Billy Madison, and I'm trying to think of I think The Wedding Singer is my second favorite of his. You
I was
mentioned Big
thinking more
Daddy,
of his
but
solo movies, but Wedding Singer, it's weird. Wedding Singer
it's
and
still
50
an Adam
First
Sandler
Dates,
movie in my
I
mind.
consider that its own category of Adam Sandler, Drew
What
Barrymore.
about
Which,
Waterboy though? Waterboy was fucking fantastic.
and Waterboy is when he's full unhinged. That's when he goes full Jim Carrey
Yes,
unhinged.
I
That is
fucking
the
love
one
that.
movie that I think he went like Ace Ventura level unhinged.
But
Like
then he had a love interest, and
he
he
did, but that and
what?
Kathy Bates. He had Kathy Bates in that movie, which
Yeah,
and
Kathy
the
Bates is
Fonz. He had
awesome.
Kathy Bates and the Fonz in that movie, which helped really push that movie forward.
That is true.
You can't have Kathy Bates in something and it not be good. They
Yeah.
lost Steve Carell, in The Office, and Kathy Bates tried to hold it together until they replaced her with James Spader.
Yeah.
And he was okay.
Yeah. He's alright.
He was in the worst Avengers movie. All right, well, thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe if you liked this. Please subscribe. I'm getting close to 100. That's when I'll get my 100 subscriber YouTube plaque. That's a thing, right?
Sure.
I think
Yeah, I'll get out a piece
I
of
think
plywood and draw something
500,000.
on
I
it.
think 500,000 is gold, and I think 100,000 is silver. So I'm pretty sure 100 is made of like sheet paper or like packing tape. I think
Loose leaf paper. Loose leaf
it's
paper.
loose leaf paper. Yeah, it's 1,000s when they start getting like the good high quality cardstock paper.
Yeah.
And that's when you can monetize is at 1,000.
Yep.
Also, like any suggestions of movies, leave them in the comments. Anything you'd like to see us review, any games you'd like to see us play, things like that. And again, let us know, what's your favorite Carl Weathers movie? What's your favorite Adam Sandler movie? Put that in the comments. And thank you all for watching. Bye.
Bye-bye.